karma is one of those things that in the Christian community, sometimes we stray away from because it's not a Christian principle per se. I tend to use the word karma only because it's so mainstream now that it's simplistic enough for people to get it. It's simplistic enough for people to understand, and it still is rooted in the universal principle of what would be considered the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And the whole reason for that is because the universal principle of what goes around comes around. You reap what you sow, karma, whatever the case may be. Basically, you're going to get yours. Whatever you're building up, you're going to get. Now, that's whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not. That's not the point. It's a universal principle that's been proven in history. It's been proven in multiple people's lives that you get what's coming, if that makes sense. Now, I was thinking about the song that John Lennon did, Instant Karma. And I had to research this because I was curious as to what he was referring to. And a lot of the interpretations of the song go towards it's an instant, literally what it says, an instant karma, like it happens right then and there, as opposed to it happens over time. I'm not sure if I necessarily believe that. I do believe that it does happen sometimes that way. I do believe sometimes our consequences are very immediate. And sometimes I believe that our consequences are long drawn out and arduous. There's something that happens over time. There's some things that I don't even think happen in this life. But that's another video. I'm not going to go there today. That's too much. So, what are we building up for ourselves, and what principles are we living by? That's very, very important to remember. It's very important to filter things out through a good lens. That's why I do promote the Christian faith as much as I do, because it is a good lens to filter things out through. It is a good, healthy moral compass to say this is wrong, this is right, etc., etc. There are areas of grayness, there are gray lines, there's gray areas, that's facts. But if we have a decent moral compass, if we have a decent moral filter when dealing with situations and decisions and how we treat people, it is extremely helpful. It's extremely helpful. And it helps our reputation. It helps our karma, if you will. All of these things. Don't think because nothing appears to have come back around to you that it won't. I think that is a very dangerous place to be. It's a place I've caught myself a few times. Because the idea is you touch the stove and you don't get burnt. So it's like, oh, just keep touching the stove. No big deal. But what are you building up for yourself? Are you building up a tab with God, with the universe, however you want to say it? Are you building up a tab of things that are going to come back around on you because of how you treat others, how you deal with others? Let's go a step further. How you deal with yourself. How you deal with yourself is just as important as how you deal with others. We do not pay attention to this. Okay, so the verse is Matthew 22:39. It says basically that we are to love others the way we love ourselves. What about forgiveness? Like, we're also supposed to forgive ourselves as well, not just forgive other people. So, all of these things, what are we building up? What are we building up? What type of karma are we building up? What type of reaping are we building up? That is important. It's very important. I have been through certain things at certain points, and I was able to pinpoint, oh wow, okay, so this is from that. And I do believe God does not just thrust stuff upon you, okay? Stuff is not just thrust upon you for the heck of it. There's lessons in all of it. And you're gonna know when it hits you. You're gonna know, because I believe, and not only do I believe this, but I've witnessed it, watched it, dealt with it with myself, with other people. Typically, let's say it's a scenario of who you beat up on your way to the top or something, you're gonna remember those people. You're gonna remember those people when it hits the fan. When it really hits, when that reaping kicks in, you're really gonna remember those faces, those people, those experiences. Like, oh crap, okay God, I shouldn't have done that. I see what's happening here. But it's also important that we learn the lesson. It's important that we take and absorb the lessons. That's the other big piece of this. If we don't absorb the lessons, if we don't learn from the lessons, there's no point. That whole thing about go and sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon you. Okay, I healed you. I told you to go sin no more. You've learned your lesson. Now take that lesson. Don't do this no more. Do better. And everything gonna be okay. Lest a worse thing come upon you. That's a principle. Pay attention, folk. That's a principle. So in other words, you shouldn't take the same test over and over and over again, because there's a good chance the test is not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. It's best to pass that test the first or second time around. Don't keep playing with your life. Don't keep playing with these tests that come your way. Pass the test, get past it, move on. That's it. Don't build up a bunch of mess for yourself. Don't do that. Your life is too precious for that. You're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. Don't let that go to waste. Don't let that go to waste. All because you don't want to learn a lesson. All because you're too hard-headed. All because you're denying the fact that this is something that's going to come back around to me. Pay attention, folks. That's all. Pay attention.